the next section, section 6.2, after we learn to reduce fractions in section 6.1, then we have to do operations on fractions. So guess what we have to do now? Operations, what does that mean? Multiplying and dividing, right? And then section 3 will be adding and subtracting. I think you're going to find that multiplying and dividing are almost the same as what we were doing here, so I'm going to cut the explanation short on this section. I'm just going to do one exercise to give you a sample on page 260, and then we'll get on to the ones I think are going to give you trouble, and that's adding and subtracting fractions. Now, when you multiply and divide fractions, there is one step that is very important. Just like on the last section, and you want to guess what that is? Factoring. If you ever don't know the answer to one of my questions, you can just say factoring and you're probably right, because that seems to be the prerequisite for everything we do here. Take a look at number 56 on page 260. And let me use this as a sample problem. 2a squared minus 2b squared divided by a cubed plus a squared b plus a plus b. And then it says divided by, and then it says, as a second fraction, it says 6a squared divided by a cubed plus a. All right? Anytime you have a multiplication problem or division problem, your first step is to factor. Factor, factor, factor. Factor everything. And what about the division symbol? What do we do about a division symbol? You always invert. Does it matter which one? You bet it does. You always invert the second number and you multiply, okay? So what's our first step on this pink part up here? We're going to have to do what? Factor out the 2. And what would that leave? A squared minus b squared, okay? Divided by, now, what about this? 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. 4 terms involved here. Maybe we're going to have to do a factoring by grouping again. Okay? So let's take out from the first 2, let's group it and take out the a squared. And what do you think is going to be left? A in the first position, right? And then we took out the a squared, so that's going to be plus b. And that ends the first part. Now let's take the second part and a plus b. Do you see anything you can factor out from a plus b? Not anything. So what do we put automatically? 1. And that's all right, because that's what we want to have left is a plus b, right? So just put plus 1, and then we'll have left a plus b. Like that? Now, is that factored? No, because it's this plus this. So it's not factored completely. It's not factored at all even. We just started factoring and it takes 2 steps to get it factored. So let's just leave it like it is and let's go to this part. Now what about this division symbol? What I'm going to do is change that to a multiplication, and what allows me to do that? Invert. So now instead of having a cubed plus a in the denominator, what am I going to have in the numerator if I go ahead and factor it? A parenthesis a squared plus 1. And then the denominator now would be 6a squared. Is that right? Okay. Now, next step. Well, let's go back to the beginning over here. Let's go back to the beginning. What can I do with the a squared minus b? Can I factor that some more? Let's factor it some more. That would be, let's keep the 2. Keep the 2. And let's take a squared minus b squared, and that would be a minus b, a plus b. Okay? A minus b. That takes care of the first numerator. The first numerator is now factored completely. Now what about the first denominator? What are we going to do with this? Is there a common factor? What is it? A plus b. Okay, this right here, a plus b is the common factor, right? So we're going to take out that a plus b. Take out the a plus b. That's the common factor that I took out. And now what's going to be left after you take out the common factor? A squared plus what? 1? A squared plus 1. Okay? Now you've factored the denominator. And it's factored completely, isn't it? Can't factor a squared plus 1 anymore, can you? So now I'll have to say times. And over here, you know what? I can't factor this either. So let's just put it down just like it is. That would be a times a squared plus 1. And this will be a denominator of 6a squared. Any questions there so far? Okay? Now, when you're multiplying or dividing fractions, you can divide out any factor of any numerator with any factor of any denominator, right? Any factor of the top with any factor of the bottom, right? So, do you see anything we can divide out? A squared plus 1. This a squared plus 1, okay? This a squared plus 1 with this a squared plus 1, right? This factor divides out. What else? How about a plus b, okay? This a plus b divides out with this a plus b. Okay, do you see any other factors?
2 and the 6.
The 2 and the 6, good, all right. The 2 divides out with the 6. The 2 goes what? One time. The 6 would be 3. Anything else you see? How about the a and the a squared? The a divides out and the a squared goes what? A. All right? Now, let's survey the whole problem. And here's a place you've got to really be careful you don't lose something. Write down what is left in the numerator of all these. Look across carefully. Do you see any factors left in the numerator? A minus b. This a minus b is left, isn't it? A minus b. Okay? Do you see any factors left in any of the denominators? 3a. Divided by 3a. Okay? Any questions on that? Anything else you can do? Divide out an a with an a? No, that's blasphemous. That's it. So that's the answer. A minus b divided by 3a. Any questions on that? Okay? Now, with that as a sample problem, I believe you'll be able to do the rest of those. What's the thing that if you're not good at factoring, I hope you're all good at factoring by now, but if you're not good at factoring, then you need to get good at factoring, because there's so many things. If you're not good at exponents, that's not good, you know, to go through life not being good at exponents, but it won't kill you for the rest of your math career, but you're not going to have a math career if you're not good at factoring. So put that at the top of your list. Any weaknesses you have in factoring are going to be as you go through the rest of your intermediate algebra and maybe go on to college algebra. Okay? Now take a look at the next topic is going to be section 3, adding and subtracting fractions. Now, there's one word or two words that haven't been mentioned. There's one topic that hasn't been mentioned in any of the fractions that I've done so far. And it has to do with adding and subtracting of fractions. What's the deal? What do you have to have before you